Mason is your AI agent that is going to help you to write your sales page. If you see part one of the training, you'll know by now that he has two very specific roles. The first thing you're going to want to do when you start using Mason is you're going to want to lock him into ChatGPT. So I always recommend you click one of the conversation starters to lock Mason in so you get access to him, especially if you want to use him with another agent. So, well, typo, what can you do for me and how can you help? So if you click the button, you can understand much more about how Mason works. And I have designed him to go through a very thorough process, specifically for one-person business owners, to create their sales page, landing page, webinar page. His primary focus, though, is the sales page. So phase one is clarity. Phase two is architect. Phase three is convert. Now, what happens is when you start using Mason, he will ask you a series of questions. So this is the best way to start him. Now you have him locked into your system. Let's also just out of curiosity, what else can you help with, Mason? Lots. Offer stress testing, price and value adjustment, mechanism clarity, objective mapping. I like that one. Objective mapping is a good one. Bias stage collaboration, messaging cleanup, launch readiness check. Yeah, brilliant. So really comprehensive agent. If you were outsourcing this to a copywriter, the copywriter would only do the copy, wouldn't necessarily stress test it against other methodologies, other thought processes, other perspectives. So that's really cool. Now, if you are a Vortex Accelerator member, you have access to Mason and you have access to Remy. So Remy is designed to help you to create a business spotlight report, ecosystem spotlight report based on one offer. So if you're a member, do your spotlight report first, because your spotlight report is very specific. It's focused in on one core offer. And they're created separately because you might want to have a look at your offer, but you may not want to create a sales page. But the two work beautifully together, and I'm going to show you how. So this is the first way that you can use Mason. Is you can, let's just start a new chat. And actually, this is what I want to do. I've already got one set up. So you want to start a new chat. You want to add in your offer ecosystem from Remy. And you also want to add in any of the documentation you think is relevant. And then what we want to do is just say, let's get this out of the way. Just say, I don't know why I'm typing. I can just speak it in. I provided a number of documents. My spotlight report is the priority. Can you help me build my sales page? I want you to ask me one question at a time. What's going to happen now? Mason's going to read the documents. You can see I've got quite a few in here. And it is going to start to ask me questions. So stage one, it asks a lot of questions. You answer the questions. Now, there are two ways that you can do this. Now, the reason why it's a good idea to use Remy first is because you can, to speed things up, because all of the work that you've done with inside Remy to create your offer, your spotlight offer map, basically, that has this is what it has. It identifies your promise, emotional promise, functional promise, pulls out the proof, trust anchors, positioning, core belief, differentiation. It creates a really great report. Fantastic. Now, to build this report, you have already answered lots of questions. So how I recommend you use this is you create a new chat, a new branch from that chat, which holds all the information in it. We go back to Mason. And then what we can do is we can copy the question into Remy and let Remy answer the question because he has all of the information, and then just copy and paste it into Mason. So what have we got? Choose the dominant emotional outcome: relief, authority, reassurance, momentum, something else. What do you recommend? I recommend your spotlight offer is positioned as ethical, trauma-informed, structural decision, relief. Yeah. Outcome specific. Okay, so I can start to think. Now, be careful here. If you think that's not right, you want to change it and say, no, actually, let's just explore this a second. I think this is better. So, a relief. Question 2. Watch to when someone right. So, what I want to do is copy this question, pop it into the branch that you've just created. I'm not sure. I think it's, gosh, hang on a minute. I'm not sure. I'm not sure which one I created and turned into a branch. I think it was this one. Okay. I've just said, given all the info, answer this. So it's going to come back with an answer. Today would be good, Remy. Today would be good. What's going on? Where are, oh. I wonder if there's too much information in my agent. That's interesting. So sometimes when you have used a chat a lot, and I mean a lot, it'll get sticky. It'll get sticky like this. Now, you can still use the chat on your phone for a much longer period of time. However, if it becomes sticky in the chat, let's have a look at this. Let me just make sure I've given all the information. But okay, yeah. So what we want to do is we want to read this and make sure that the output is correct. But it should be. Now I want to tighten this further for you. Okay, or is it actually? So it might be that you just want to flush out this answer a little bit more, and then you copy and paste it back into Mason, you press enter, and it's going to ask you the next question. Rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat. It'll get to the point and it'll ask you to check the draft and make sure it's on point. So you check the draft, obviously, you make sure it's on point, change anything that isn't on point, and then it'll take you into the next phase. I can't do it now because it'll take me half an hour to do it. And obviously you haven't got half an hour. So it will go backwards and forwards, do phase 1, and then it will do phase 2. So at the end of it, you will have an amazing sales page that you can use. Now, here is the beauty of this. Once you've got your sales page created and you have this chat, you can then create so many assets from this. It's just absolutely mind blowing. So again, what you would do is you would create another branch, and then you would, let me just pick on someone. Who am I thinking? I am thinking. So you could do your social media. So you've created another branch, so you're not you're keeping the first chat clean. I can then say, based on above, give me 30 days social media ideas. Okay, that's not correct grammar, but you know what I mean. Okay, so from that copy, so it's 100% unique. It's completely aligned. You haven't had to do any extra. You haven't had to do any extra work. It's going to give you an outline of possible posts. We are not switch. Okay. It doesn't want to do it because it hasn't finished. It hasn't actually finished what it had started. If we jump to 30 days of content now, we risk building promotion around vague promise. Fantastic. I love that. I love that. So it's basically telling me off not to do it. So you can only do this, and it's true. You can only do this when you have answered all the questions and created the page. Very easy to do once you've done that. So you can do webinar, emails, sign-up emails, follow-up emails. It's just mind-blowingly endless blog posts, partnerships. All you would do is create a new branch and bring in a new agent to do a specific job. Or once you've branched it off, you can do your social media, and then maybe you want to do some newsletters. You can just bring in the other agent, Lucy, to turn each social media post maybe into a newsletter, because all of the content is above. So you can work either way. So this is what you're doing if you use Remy. And I highly recommend you do it this way, because then you have two assets within inside your business which are 100% accurate. You have your spotlight report for one particular offer, and then you create your landing page from the spotlight conversation. So everything is online. The other way of doing this is to new chat, click build my sales page. Now, what it's going to do if you do it this way, it's going to ask you all of the questions in relation to that section. These questions will adapt themselves depending on who is using this agent. It is not set in stone. They will mirror themselves based on the person's ChatGPT that they're using. So they won't be structured, and the questions will change depending on what the conversation is. But what I would do now is I would upload any documents that you think are relevant to that sales page. Do not give it anything that is not relevant to the offer, to the sales page you want to create. So can you see why the spotlight report is so important? Because it gives the foundation for Mason to work from. And then what you do, you upload your documents, and then you would just say, read the documents, ask me all the outstanding questions in relation to the sales page. Ask me one at a time. And then it'll ask you one question at a time. It'll go through the same process. You won't be jumping between Mason and Remy. You would just be using Mason. And it's the same principle. Once you have done your sales page, landing page, you then have a lot of information in this chat. So you keep this as like a master. You keep it as a clean space. And then when you want to do something new, branch off. But remember, when you branch off, you must always call in the other agent it is that you want to use for that specific job. Absolutely mind-blowing. It is going to save you thousands and thousands of pounds. It'll make sure that your message is right. and it'll save you a significant amount of time. Then you can pass it off and hand it over to your VA or your website person to actually create the page. And what you should actually do is stress test the page. So in our document, you will find some prompts that you can just drop in, and then it will stress test the page to see if you have missed anything. So we've got lots of sequences that you can go through to make sure that it is absolutely on point and that you are not missing anything. Let me know how you get on in the community, in the WhatsApp group, and if you have any questions.